imagine you're born as a lion, but you're moved into the pig pen. You're convinced you're a pig and you eat like a pig. You are what you eat. And so then eventually someone says, no, you're a lion. That's kind of hard to convince that lion that's been a pig for so long, right?
Hey everybody, welcome to the Solid Podcast, episode 44. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Kiltz, who is a fertility doctor out of New York, CNY Fertility. And today we're going to talk about fertility and mainly diet and why diet is so important and how it's impacting people's lives, diseases, cancers, and then what you can do to have an incredible diet and why you should eat in the way that he's recommending. Personally, I've been eating this way for about 14 months now. I feel absolutely incredible. I just got my blood done. My results are off the charts. It's incredible what's happening. And I know so many people who've been listening to our podcast know a little bit about it and have tried this way of eating as well. And today, Dr. Kiltz is going to get into the science behind it. And obviously, he's got an incredible education being a doctor and knowing a lot about it. So I'm excited for you guys to hear this podcast today.
It was really good. If there's any of you out there that are struggling with maybe, what do I eat? How much do I eat? There's so many messages out there, macros, do I count macros, all that. This for me was very enlightening because I've done all that. I've always been very aware of my nutrition and trying to figure out what the best strategy and best plan is for me. And what I really loved about this is really it really is a fits all everybody diet that he talks about, and he goes into why. I mean, think about it. If you could really simplify your diet, eat once or twice a day and know exactly what to eat, which is basically fatty meats, which he'll talk about why that is. And that's all you had to worry about. You didn't have to pay for all these supplements and vitamins and medications and all the things that are out there. How would that change your life? How would that change your loved ones' lives? So this is one you're going to want to get out to everybody and make sure you share it with as many people as you can, because this is a life-changing podcast here. We did not know Dr. Kiltz before today. We're very fortunate to be able to have gotten him on. Jeff reached out to him and he got on and spent a good hour with us here. So make sure you hop on and listen to it all, like, subscribe. And just get this out there, get the message out there. We know good is trying to be suppressed out there in the world, and we want to just continue to blast it out there. So enjoy this one, guys. You're going to love it.
My wife had some medical challenges a couple of years ago, and I had learned during that time about Histamine Response, and I was pretty much I wasn't a vegan, but very much plant-based. I would probably only eat meat once or twice a week. And, my wife was far more, I would say she was pretty much plant-based. I mean, she would eat meat rarely. And she started having these medical challenges. And we went to go see this doctor one day. She told us about histamines and how she should research that. So I went down this rabbit hole. And so that's kind of how I found you. And then trying to help my wife, I just started doing the carnivore diet, and I had all these incredible results. My testosterone went from 300. I just got my blood done again a couple weeks ago. Went from 300 when I started carnivore diet, which is about 14 or 15 months ago now. Went from 300, and that was 953 a couple weeks ago. And so I had all these incredible results. So I'm excited about today. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's all radical, isn't it?
It is. It's crazy. It's like I felt like I've been lied to my whole life.
Yeah, no doubt.
So where are you? Or you're in New York? Is that correct?
Can you tell?
Yeah.
I'm in Vail, Colorado.
All right.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Been snowboarding for 3 days.
Fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I took today. I've been working on a talk and just relaxing. I'm leaving tomorrow for Colorado Springs and then back to Syracuse on Saturday.
Okay, very good. Good. Awesome. Well, tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got started with everything you do and as a doctor and what you specialize in. And if you don't mind, just kind of tell us your story.
Well, my name is Dr. Rob Kiltz. I'm a fertility physician, and I focus on people suffering from being infertile. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. I call myself a street kid. I was kicked out of school in a gang, couldn't read, and father in jail, but I learned a lot, and he was an amazing guy over the years. And I became a fertility doctor kind of a little by accident. I initially was in internal medicine for a year, and then found that I was just writing prescriptions for diseases I didn't know anything about, and people were just being managed for life. Then I switched over to OBGYN and then over to fertility. And I'm just a standard reproductive endocrinologist, OBGYN doctor. I operate. I do a lot of management of people with fertility issues, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, uterine fibroids. About 20 years ago, I've been doing fertility for about 30 years now. I graduated from my residency in 1990, medical school in 1985, UC Davis. And about 20 years ago, I started looking at integrating Eastern and Western medicine. Being infertile is very stressful. Many people drop out or don't even pursue fertility treatments because it's too hard emotionally. So I began to integrate yoga, meditation, prayer, acupuncture, positivity. I wrote a book called The Fertile Secret, kind of a takeoff on the book The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, how to instill positivity into your life. And through that, many people were getting pregnant, was helping people keep on the road. And then some of them were getting pregnant on this thing called paleo diet. And I'm like, well, I didn't know anything about paleo. I was already into Atkins and Weight Watchers, and I was a massive runner and triathlete for years to be healthy. Yet I suffered from arthritis, psoriasis, bowel bleeding, migraines, kidney stones for years. And as I learned more about paleo and they were getting pregnant, I said, well, I got to learn about this. I learned about keto, and I began to do them myself and got better. And about 12 years ago, I tripped over carnivore. And in 1 month of carnivore, all my diseases went away, and I've never felt better in my life. So here I am 12 years later. I blog about it. I talk about it. I write about it. Everything is just about like carnivore and fasting, and throwing a little keto if you're not ready to go carnivore can help you on your journey of being infertile. And basically all diseases are caused by the incorrect diet. We are lions, not pigs, cows, and sheep. If you feed a wolf or a lion plants, they become cats and dogs, domesticated animals. Same things happen to humans. We eat plants, we become domesticated. We don't eat fatty meat because we're told it's deadly for us. And then we become diseased, requiring doctors, dissections, drugs, and we don't get any better on that diet. And so carnivore is the way, and fasting is the way to heal everyone and anyone of whatever it is. And fertility is just another disease, just lining up hypertension, diabetes, cancer, stroke, ADHD, OCD, dyslexia, criminality, suicidality. I'll go down the list. It's all due to a plant-based, low animal fat diet.
Incredible. I think, does that blow you away? Or what?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So what do you think is, so as you talk about these things, obviously I've found this out in my own personal life the last 14 months. What is it in plants that are causing a lot of these issues? And why do you think that we've been told that fatty meat is unhealthy for us, or high cholesterol is unhealthy for us? Where do you think that comes from? And then what is it in plants that are causing all these diseases?
Well, plants have been around for millions of years, longer than we have. Their DNA is greater than ours, and their survival drive is as good or greater than you and I. Every organism, from a bacteria, yeast, virus, and a plant, and every other organism in between, wants to thrive and survive. We evolved, let's just say we're apes that came out of the trees to the grasslands, not to eat the grass, but eat the grass eaters. We evolved because we ate fatty meat, and we didn't eat the deadly, dangerous, and inhibitory plants which keep us meek. The plant-eating apes did not evolve to be humans, or actually we did, because we are that plant-eating ape that evolved because we didn't eat the plants. And if you think about it, heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine, and every other hallucinogenic drug and fermentation of a plant to alcohol basically comes from plants. And so where did it come from? You know, evolutionarily, there were probably more famines and it was difficult to hunt. There was probably more competition for those animals, changes in the environment, which is natural and normal in the evolution of the earth, happened. And we found that we could eat some plants and survive. Some plants killed us. Some plants made us high and we liked it. And some plants we thrived and survived. And we figured out through those famines, we can control the growing of some foods, and we still ate the fatty meat. But over time, for whatever reason, the control of the dictators of the world that wanted to control the masses, let me feed them plants. They will become easily domesticated and will thrive and survive on that. If they eat the master's meal, remember the king and the queen cut, and they controlled the animals in the hunting lands, right? Hunting grounds. So the masters eat the mush and the masters eat the fatty meat. So it's just, like things, how did something happen in the first place? We're telling a story. I don't really even know how it really happened, but it's a good story. But I can tell you, if you eat fatty meat and stay away from plants, you'll feel the best ever. You will take control of your life, just like the kings and the queens, the royalty, and the lions and the wolves, which is ultimately, if you eat like that, it'll be better. But controlling today is that the masters of the 5% that like to feed all of us and tell us to eat the plants and the fake meats in order to keep them wealthy and us diseased.
Sick and controlled.
Yeah. So we should really only eat, when you say fatty meats, you're talking beef, are you talking pork, are you talking chicken's probably too lean? What are you talking there? And then outside of that, is there anything else we should be consuming as humans to be at our very best?
Well, if you only ate fatty beef, organ meats, bone marrow, bone broth, you'll be healthy. Fiber, fruits, vegetables, seeds, and nuts are never required, and they may be antigenic enough that they actually cause an anaphylactic reaction and kill you. So I stay away from those, but you can eat them from time to time. Lean meat, there's something called rabbit starvation and protein poisoning. You see, most people don't know that all plants break down to sugar. They break down to chemicals like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, and heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine. There's just thousands of chemicals that plants make that adversely affect you, by the way. That's why I don't recommend them in any frequency or significance. And then the plants, they also contain lectins, oxalates, phytates, gluten, which are phytohemagglutinin and more. Basically, they cause your blood to clot, cause strokes, heart disease. They damage the glycocalyx. The glycocalyx is a sugar area that basically every epithelial area is covered by a sugar layer. The sugar layer is basically a mucopolysaccharide layer that basically keeps the bad stuff out and lets the good stuff in. But because we're eating a high plant-based diet, it destroys that sugar layer that coats our mouth, our teeth, or our gums, our esophagus, our bowels, our blood vessels, our lymphatics. Every organ and every cell basically has this mucopolysaccharide layer of sugars that protect you. We're damaging it because we're eating a plant-based diet with all these microbes that damage it and allow all the toxins and the bugs and bacteria and yeast into our body. They're not meant to be inside of our blood vessels. They're not even meant to be inside of our bowels of any significance. And we're essentially feeding the microbes, which ferment. Then, fermentation makes alcohol all day long inside your gut. So you're feeding your child a plant-based diet. They're fermenting and making alcohol. And is any wonder why they have ADHD, OCD, dyslexia, and autism? We're basically feeding them toxic foods. Our children, our breastfeeding moms, and our pregnant moms should be eating a fatty meat diet. Babies, once they're done breastfeeding, they should go right to meat off of bone marrow, bone broth, or organ meats. That's the best way.
Awesome. So a couple of questions. So, I used to think it was normal that when I was eating this plant-based diet, I would think it was normal to be gassy, bloated, burp, have gas all the time. I would think that was normal. One of the things I've noticed since I've gone on the carnivore diet, it's almost non-existent. And so are you saying, it sounds like to me what you're saying is the reason that happens, why most people think that's normal, is because of the issues that it's causing and all these, like in our bowels and stuff you were just talking about. Is that why that happens?
Our doctors and medical environment has basically taught us that headaches and tiredness and ADHD and OCD and bowel bleeding and bloating and hemorrhoids is normal. Here's an over-the-counter drug. If that doesn't work, here's a pharmaceutical-grade drug or a dissection. But essentially, yes. Look at fermentation makes alcohol. The gut is the leading site, and even the teeth and the gums, which cause dental caries. And then look at everyone's getting their tonsils removed, their wisdom teeth removed, ear tubes at a young age. We're all highly uncontrollable. ADHD, OCD, dyslexia. It's all due to the fermentation of the plants in the gut, along with all the chemicals that are released. And when you ferment, it's an exothermic reaction. I mean, it heats up. So in general, remember, we're eating a plant-based, low, lean meat diet. We're eating mostly plants or a product made from a plant, which we're eating 3 to 6 meals a day, which is filling the bucket, right? The bowel bucket,
yep.
Which is never empty, because almost no one ever goes on a fast of any significance. And so, I mean, you never have your bowels empty. So you're always fermenting, always bloating. You're always sending sugar to the liver and the circulation, always. Insulin's always going up. There's nothing wrong with insulin. The problem is a plant-based, sugar-laden diet. And then all the chemicals and all the antigens that are going in you are basically killing us. But bloating, oh my God, burping, hemorrhoids, they go away. And colon cancer, Crohn's, IBS, every expensive drug or dissection can be eliminated by eliminating plants of any significance or frequency and focusing on fatty meat, not lean meat. Lean meat causes protein poisoning, rabbit starvation. Read about it. You will know that we have we have a lower need for amino acids and proteins. We have a high need for fat. And basically all the amino acids and all the sugars go to the liver, and via insulin, the blood flow of the bowels and the pancreas goes to the liver, so the liver can make fat. And that's really as simple as that.
So when this happens, so when I started on carnivore, basically the way I started is I just started eating a ribeye every day. It was like I ate enough ribeye. Sometimes it would take me 2, just depending on how much protein I needed for that day. And that's pretty much all I ate. I felt amazing. Then here came the arguments of, but you're going to have high cholesterol, and then you're going to have a heart attack, and you're going to have heart disease and all this kind of stuff from high cholesterol. What is your thoughts about that? Where, and I've got my blood done, and my cholesterol has risen for sure. But all the other markers I've seen have been off the charts, incredible for my health, the way I feel. So what's your response to high cholesterol?
Well, a couple things. One is there are very few tests in medicine that you can do that'll predict something in the future of any accuracy. It's kind of like the stock market, right? We just don't have the ability to do that. So really even measuring cholesterol and LDL and HDL, I believe, has very little value. If you're not well, you got to change your diet. We know that. So cholesterol and fat is what your body is made of. The cell wall, every membrane of your body, the nuclear membrane, the mitochondrial membrane, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, the lysosomes, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, they're all made of a fatty phospholipid membrane. So have you ever noticed that sugar and amino acids in water dissolve, but fat coalesces into a solid or at least coalesces into one structure?
Yep.
It's because our body is made of fat, and we've been duped. So there was a Yudkin and Keyes had a fight. And Keyes won that fat was the cause of disease, and Yudkin lost that sugar was the cause of disease. So essentially, you eat sugar, it converts to fat, you become fat. We then say, oh, it's cholesterol is the cause of disease. There's the blame. Science is highly inaccurate if you haven't figured that out yet. Our ability to prevent people from getting cancer, hypertension, diabetes, heart disease is like bad.
Yeah.
And people are eating a plant-based lean meat diet, which is supposed to be healthy, correct? So we've been lied to. Now, I don't know if we're lied to or we're just cognizant dissonance. We believe something else so strongly, we will never be open to an opposite idea. And I'm chastised for that all the time because, number one, sugar is not the energy for the mitochondria, nor is it brain energy or muscle energy. Fat is.
Yep.
Insulin's job is to convert amino acids and sugars in the liver to fat, because fat should be your focus, not protein, by the way. Fat should be the focus, because if you're skinny in a famine, you're dead. This idea of being skinny is good for us is not. If there's a major war and we can't find food for 3 to 6 months, would you rather be skinny or fat?
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather be fat every day of the week. How you want reserves for sure.
What's been your experience?
And that's why we have a ravenous. I'm sorry. That's why we have a ravenous appetite.
Yeah.
It's because the brain is smarter than you are. The brain says, I don't care what they're telling you. Famine is on its way. And if you're pregnant and you're skinny, that baby doesn't have a great chance in most environments for the last million or so years.
Can you have too much fat?
Too much fat doesn't cause any disease. The cause of disease is the lean meat, plant-based diet you're eating that causes the disease, but fat got the blame.
So you could eat bacon all the time, and that's not
bacon, eggs, butter, beef, salt, throw in some ice cream if you want from cream. Yes, that's for sure.
So
that's for sure.
So how about sugar? Let's talk about this topic of sugar. Yeah, I think it was talk about eating all this fat, which I think we can always go back to bacon. Everybody likes the sound of that.
If you don't like bacon, there's an issue.
I mean, ribeyes and bacon. How could you not be happy? And that I tell everybody all that all the time. Like internally, biologically, if you tell anybody, like, hey, you could eat a ribeye every day and bacon. I mean, naturally, we're excited
every day,
right?
Every day.
Yeah, I love it. I mean,
well, think about it. Lions don't like say, well, where's my variety? Where's my fruits and vegetables?
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, no. And that's how I felt too. Some people ask me, well, do you get sick of eating like this? And it's like, no, and honestly, I don't crave food anymore. So I used to have these cravings. I would crave like, oh, pizza sounds good or sushi sounds good or something like that. Now I don't have any cravings. I just get hungry. And when I'm hungry, a ribeye tastes just as good today as it did yesterday and a week before and a month before. I never get sick of it. Whereas, previously on a plant-based diet, if I ate the same thing over and over, or I ate lean meat like chicken, I would get sick of it. If I eat chicken every night, I would get sick of it. I didn't want to eat it. But for some reason, I don't know if it's maybe our internal biological makeup just tells us, hey, this is so good for us, you never get sick of that. Do you think that's kind of what it is, that our bodies are telling us that it's good, and that's why we don't have cravings? Or how would you respond to that?
It's really simple. So addiction is critical in life for survival. You're addicted to air, you're addicted to food, you're addicted to sex, reproduction. Okay, those are critical things for the survival. If fatty meat was likely our master meal, but at certain times of the year, maybe the herd went away, we would have to find a way to go get to the food again. So we fattened up on the meat, likely like a polar bear, many bears do. But let's say we ate berries and we ate fruit over a short amount of time. Addiction to sugar is critical. So you didn't just have a couple of bites and walk on. You wanted to eat as much of that sugar as you could, because sugar converts to fat in the liver. It's not the fuel for your mitochondria. We've got it wrong. And so naturally we're addicted to things, even when we think, well, they're not good. But But if you're eating fatty meat, that means you have plenty of natural food that's meant for you. You lose that addiction for the fruit, which isn't even around in your natural environment. The only reason you have it today is because we're shipping it around the world and we're processing it in a way that is completely unnatural to our instinctual diet.
In your experience with all of the clients that you see and that you help out with fertility, I'm assuming you probably help both men and women with that. How many of them have you seen improve by switching to this diet? Is it 100%? Do they all? I mean, what's been your experience with that?
Well, it depends on the level of damage that's already done, but everyone gets some benefit from keto or carnivore and fasting. I recommend fasting for everyone. I recommend one meal a day, one or two snacks if you want, but ultimately one meal a day is the best way. And I'd say the majority of people that do it feel better, and many of them get pregnant. Or they're able to think more clearly and continue on the process and decide on whichever things that they want to do, including adoption, donor eggs, donor sperm, donor embryos. But your brain works better on carnivore because, again, the plants make alcohol. Can you imagine drinking and giving your son or daughter, your child alcohol every single day on the way to school?
Yeah, really. So my question is, because
this works for everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Men and women, by the way.
And I love the idea of one meal a day. It just simplifies your life. My challenge is, how do you eat enough in one meal to last you the whole day? And maybe that's just because I haven't eaten, exactly how I should.
Because, look, if you had food around, you would probably eat it until you were done with it. So our environment has too much food around because you see food, you want to eat food. But it's a practice over time. Like anything else, the mind is the master of what you wish it to be. If you think and say, okay, this is it, because I know at 67, I want to continue to be healthy and thrive and survive. By eating one meal a day, it makes me feel the best. Do I sometimes have a breakfast or a snack at lunch and then I still have my ribeye steak? But you're learning things. We're all learning things to get back to our ancient nature. Maybe fasting was forced on us originally. We would have eaten whatever we could, but we knew the value of the hunt and the amazing meal we were going to get by being patient. And it likely took days, and it may have taken weeks to find the food, and maybe even months. If you look at many animals, many mammals, they hibernate, they nest, they migrate. They don't eat food for weeks, if not months.
It's awesome. Yeah, I would say, do you think the one meal a day is the most important, or do you think it's the amount of time that we go without food? For example, I usually eat 2 meals a day, but I do that within about a 5-hour window. Do you think I should adjust that and move it all to one meal? Because I think I could and eat all that food. However, I've just noticed.
Well, so think of the bowels, the gastrointestinal tract, as long as there's food in there, it's working, right?
Yep.
The more it works, the more damage it's going to get, even if it's strictly a carnivore. But if you ate less frequently and you ate fatty meat as the primary source of your food, you would allow the gut to rest. The glycobiome, the glycocalyx will heal, protect the epithelial layer, and allow you to thrive and survive. You'd eliminate leaky gut, which would be the way. So I recommend personally 23-1 as the very best. I recommend a 2-day fast once a week if you can, a 3-day fast once a month, and a 5-day fast twice a year. Now, it's not critical that you do that. I would say as long as you're mostly carnivore, which is fatty meat diet, and even if you're eating 2 or 3 meals a day, you're still doing better. But I do tell the vegan and vegetarians and Mediterraneans, if you simply fast 1 meal a day, you add the fat, you will feel better even just doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one of the things I've noticed too is, so when I first went carnivore, I kind of did the Paul Saladino, I'm sure you've seen his stuff, to where, it's red meat and then added fruit and maybe coconut and stuff like that, honey. And that to me was an easy transition. But what I noticed is I started just not craving that stuff at all. And because my cravings eventually just went away, I started, I don't really want that. So at the beginning, I was really strict. And then after about 3 or 4 months, I saw his stuff and went, oh, he's eating steak and honey and mangoes and stuff. And so I was kind of doing the same thing. And I probably did that for a few months. And then slowly but surely, I would notice the steak tastes so good. I don't want mangoes. I don't need honey. And now I have zero cravings for it. I just don't want it. So can I get your perspective on sugar? Because I think sugar is coming from, whether it's coming from honey or fruit, or the other day we were in the grocery store buying a gift for somebody, and we get to the checkout line, and I point to my wife and I go, look, at 100% of everything we can see is sugar. And, it comes in all different forms, whether it's, carbs or candy or soda or whatever, candy bars, all the stuff they put in grocery stores these days. We couldn't find something that wasn't sugar from the place that we were standing. And I try to teach my children how bad sugar is for them. And I hope that if I can educate them, they can make some good decisions even when I'm not around by choosing not to eat candy or not to drink soda or not to do these things. I don't have to tell them no, rather just educate them, and hopefully they can make some good decisions. So, what's your perspective on sugar? And then, you've talked a little bit about it, but I'm talking mainly like the American diet that people are eating, whether it's from a carbohydrate or oatmeal or honey or fruit or candy or soda or even these fake sugar supplements and these kind of things that people are using nowadays. What's your perspective on those things?
Where does sugar come from?
Well, I guess it would depend on what kind of sugar, right? If it's
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
All sugar comes from a plant. Plants are made of sugar. I don't care what plant.
Yeah.
Salad, fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, nuts, asparagus, carrots, garlic, onions, that's all sugar. Your bloodstream doesn't know the difference between cane sugar, honey sugar, fruit sugar, kale sugar, asparagus sugar. Do you know this?
Wow. I guess now that you say it, yeah, it's pretty obvious, but I guess we don't think about it that way.
Well, but we should,
Yes.
because healthy people die of cancer. My concern about Saladino's message is cancer is silent until it's not. And why some people get cancer, I believe, from a plant-based diet, honey, fruit, runs into plants, by the way. Honey comes from a plant, correct?
Yeah.
So
That's other
it's
bees.
still the same sugar.
I
Is
guess
it
bees,
different?
pollinate.
They're making it from flowers. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. It comes from the plant.
Yep.
Carbon dioxide in the air, sunlight and water makes a long chain carbon particle called a carbohydrate, a starch, or cellulose. It's called a plant. All plants ground up become essentially glucose, right? There's glucose, mannose, fructose, fucose. There's a whole bunch of sugars. Sugar is for a different function in our body. It's not for energy, by the way. It's for glycosylation. So basically what I tell everyone is, I don't care. I eat ice cream, cookie, cake from time to time. Listen, I believe that the fruits and vegetables are more deadly for you than a simple ice cream with white cane sugar. Do you want to know why?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. What is your belief?
Okay, so the plants, you cannot eliminate the bacteria, yeast, or viruses very easily. Did you know that?
No.
Nope.
So basically, the most recalled product is in the realm of either fruits or vegetables.
And I did know that. Yep.
Okay. So then the fruits and vegetables, along with the beans and the rice and all that, come with fiber, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fiber and sugar ferments in your gut, correct?
Okay. Nope.
Do you know what fermentation makes?
Alcohol.
Alcohol. So your child that's eating all those Lucky Charms and all those healthy vegetables and fruits and things that you think is healthy for them, you're feeding the microbes in the mouth, the gums, the teeth, of the esophagus. It goes up into the upper respiratory system, down into the lower respiratory system. It is kind of crazy concepts and ideas. Plus, remember, the plants contain the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, which affects your natural hormones as a child, by the way. Okay? So a plant-based diet is giving you estrogen and progesterone, testosterone, correct?
Yep.
It's like taking the birth control pill or taking some testosterone or estrogen, depending on how you're eating or affected by it. Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so ultimately they also contain the lectins, oxalate phytates. White sugar does not. It's already been ultra purified. Correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sugar goes to the liver via insulin in the liver. It's converted to fat fast.
Wow.
Complex sugars, complex carbs take a long time to digest, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So 3 meals a day, a full gut for the whole life, your gut's never empty of carbohydrates and plants fermenting. You wonder why we're sick?
Yep.
It's kind of simple, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it seems obvious when, once it's like once you've gone down that path, it seems obvious. Prior to that, it was like, I would even have these, issues. I would get sick or I just wouldn't feel good. When I was 16, I got in a car crash. I got ejected from a vehicle and my hip hurt my whole life. It just, for 10, 12, well, I guess it would have been 15 years, my hip hurt. Immediately after I started carnivore, it went away. But I never once in my life did I think that it was because of my diet. I was thinking, oh, this broccoli is good for me. Eating a green smoothie is good for me, or kombucha is good for me. And then, I would get sick and think I have to do more of this stuff, and not realizing that maybe it was those things that were causing some of this. It never even crossed my mind because of all of this information that I had been fed. And then as soon as all I had to do was meet with this doctor one day, and she said, "Have you heard of histamines?" And I said, "Well, no, I don't really. I mean, I've heard of them, but I don't really know what it is." And she said, "Well, I want you to go research histamines and where they're at in foods." And then, and she says the lowest histamine food is fresh beef. And I want you to go to the store, because my wife was in the emergency room having these allergic reactions, and every day it was a new allergic reaction. And we were in the emergency room once a week, and she said, "Here's the solution. Go to the store, get fresh beef, and don't put anything on it except for salt, and let me know if she has an allergic reaction." She's not going to, because it's a low histamine food. And as soon as she said that, it made so much sense to me. I started eating this way, and it was like a light turned on my whole life. And I went, how could I not see this before? And I think, you had said it earlier, cognitive dissonance. And for so many people, we've been programmed for so long that we just don't see it. But it does. It makes sense once you understand it. But there's just so many arguments, I guess, in the modern world against this way of eating. But if somebody will move down that road, I think they'll start seeing the results are absolutely incredible. I'm sure you're blessed to be able to get to see that happen in people's lives every day, being in the position you are as a doctor, right?
Our DNA is that of a lion, not a pig, cow, or sheep.
Yeah.
They're grass eaters. We're not. Our GI system is that of a lion or a wolf. If you eat like that, you will be healthy. So imagine you're born as a lion, but you're moved into the pig pen. You're convinced you're a pig, and you eat like a pig. You are what you eat. And so then eventually someone says, no, you're a lion. It's kind of hard to convince that lion that's been a pig for so long, right?
Yep.
So
we're brainwashed, all of us. It doesn't matter your religion, your politics, your food, your science. Human beings are highly resistant to opposite ideas, are they not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Especially scientists. Have you noticed that about scientists and doctors?
Yes.
Big time. So how much of our, this is probably, no, I know the answer here, but how much of our bad diet has to do with all of these mental health challenges we're seeing all around us now? I mean, it just seems like there's so many that are struggling with that. I'm sure the chemical imbalances in our bodies are just throwing our brains off. And like you say, people think they're a pig, and so you try to convince them they're a lion. They don't believe you. The men don't think they're men. Women don't know if they're women. Almost. What do you think about that?
So think of the brain like the heart, the kidney, the liver, the testicles, the prostate, the uterus, the ovaries, the muscles. So the brain is just another organ with a bunch of cells. The cell is being damaged due to the sugars, the plant sugars, the phytochemicals, the plant antigens, the fermentation. So is every disease that we speak about, including neurologic dysfunction, ADHD, OCD, depression, anxiety, criminality, suicidality, Parkinson's, ALS, MS, is all caused by a plant-based, low animal fat diet.
Alzheimer's, dementia.
Every one of them.
All of them.
All of them. Schizophrenia, psychosis, ADHD, manic depression. Just go down the list. It's all caused by a plant-based, low animal fat diet.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is amazing. I love to hear it, because I'm always seeing the content you're posting on social media, and it's awesome to have a conversation about it, and then seeing the impact that it's had on my life as well. Because I was telling you, my wife was in the emergency room with all these issues when we started eating this way. Today, she's 100%. I feel. I tell people all the time. They say, "Well, how do you feel?" I go. I used to say I feel like I'm 16 again, but now that's not even fair to say, because it's almost like I feel like a monster. I feel I'm stronger than ever before. I heal. I have I have so much energy. I don't need as much sleep. It's just crazy to see the way that I feel. I didn't know that I could feel this good, and I don't even take a vitamin, and before, I was eating this plant-based diet, and I was trying to take all these vitamins and do all this kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people do those things, and they're trying to supplement because they're missing something. They just don't feel good. And then as soon as you go down this road, it's like, man, I wish I knew now. I wish I knew this 20 years ago. How much higher performing could I have been in all other areas of my life if I would have known now what I knew then? And that's why I love your message, because I've been trying to share it as much as I can. Obviously, I don't have the education you have. I have the experience with it now. And seeing the results, I was just talking to Brandon, one of our mutual friends. He saw me doing the carnivore diet, and he decided to do the same thing. He lost 50 pounds in 75 days, and he lost all these pounds. Now he's training for a triathlon, and same thing. He has all this energy. I've got another friend who has Lyme's disease. She's been having all these challenges. She switched to carnivore. She's been doing it for 6 weeks. I said, "How do you feel?" She goes, "I'll never change. I'm going to eat this way for the rest of my life." Or do you see that kind of stuff happen constantly as soon as you start seeing people remove these sugars, remove these plant foods from their diet? Are you seeing kind of that as well, where they're starting to feel youthful again and they just feel incredible?
Right away. It takes about 2 to 4 weeks to clear the bowels of all the plant products. Okay. Number one, clear the bowels. And another 2 weeks to then you begin to get better every day. And I turned 67 last Sunday. I was doing black diamonds on snowboarding the last 3 days, and I had a couple of good falls. And I felt it for a minute, but like after that, I was feeling great. And I can tell you that I'm more resilient. My brain is more open. My energy is greater. And I would tell every single human being to get back to the proper human diet, as a good friend Ken Berry likes to say, optimizing the physiology by eliminating the plant sugars and the chemicals and the alcohol and the antigens that are going through your body because of it. But everyone and anyone should be doing it. I don't care what disease. I used to have terrible back problems, a herniated disc, and literally when I did this, I'm like, whoa. And too much education, by the way, education doesn't make you smart. It sometimes makes you dumb, because you're like, oh, I know everything. Oh, this is what I learned, and this is it, right? I don't know. Lane Norton was chastising Kiltz on there, saying I didn't know what I was talking about, and I'm like, he's right. I don't know what the shit I'm talking about, but I can tell you this. As a physician that was taught that a healthy diet is fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, and nuts, and lean meat, but little red, I switched to carnivore. I've never looked back. I will, this is my mantra of the universe. The more we can share this, as you're doing, Jeff and Brandon, with more people, so that we're shining more lights on the lions coming back, right? We're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm a lion. What am I doing in this pig pen?
Yes.
I'm going to take control of my life, and I'm going to do the work. You don't have to pump iron to be massive, by the way, and you don't need to be skinny. Losing weight is psychologically maybe feeling good, But ultimately, think about it. If you're an extra 100 pounds overweight and you're walking around and carrying 100 pounds extra that you put on me, I couldn't do it.
Right.
But they're stronger than we know. We get rid of the toxins in the bowels. See, the bucket is the toxins, the bowel bucket, and it's always full. The day you're born to the day you die, it's full. What you want to do, again, is change it up and never give up.
Yes, like Marcus Aurelius said, right? He says, the older I get and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And I think we could all live by that, right? We wouldn't have these staunch beliefs that we know. It's like, and you start eating like this, but I know how I feel, right? I do know that. I know I feel better.
And when someone says, well, wait a minute, you need fiber, you need your minerals and vitamins from the vegetables and fruit.
Yeah, where do you get vitamin C?
From the meat you eat, and we probably need a lot less anyway. And I'm questioning every macromolecule or vitamin and mineral someone says I need. I'm like, you're making it up. Even us in the carnivore world are mostly making it up. I mean, how many grams per kilogram of meat do you need a day? Does anyone really know that?
No.
Right? No.
Yeah, I don't think we know anything for sure,
So we should just simplify fatty meats. Don't need to worry about extra vitamins. Don't need to spend a bunch of money on all that stuff. And life is good. Eat 1 meal a day.
1 meal a day is the very best way. Oh, and faith in God.
Amen.
Yes.
And look in the mirror, and there we are.
I love it.
I love it. So I have two other points. Number one is teeth. Teeth. I notice, especially my children's teeth. So my younger children that we've been doing this, I have, younger kids, their teeth are so much better. And one of the things I started doing is researching, like, I just had this question. I wonder what, these African tribes who eat like this, the Hadza or the Maasai tribes, and you look at pictures of these, women, and mostly it's women you see pictures of online. And of course I haven't been there, but I would love to go one day, and they smile, they have these beautiful teeth, and this is their diet. And I've noticed how much better my teeth are, but my children's teeth, it's like they're perfect, but they're not eating any sugar. They're not having any of these things. Have you noticed that as well? And then another thing I was wondering is if we could talk a little bit about testosterone. I know testosterone has been a huge topic in the world these days. Men's testosterone has been plummeting for a long. Mine was 300 18 months ago when I started. It was low. I didn't feel good, and now it's high. I've done nothing to raise it other than this diet. That's the only thing I've changed, and I have the blood results to prove it. It's more than tripled naturally. And you
feel great.
Oh my gosh. And I'm sure that's why. I'm sure, when I say I felt like a monster, I'm sure, there's this thing called a MRF. And I had been doing carnivore for, 6 months or so at the time. And, everybody was posting it on Instagram. They were doing a MRF. I'd never heard of it. I just Googled it, looked at what it was. And I had 45 minutes to do a workout. I gave it everything I had, and I did the MRF in I think 36 minutes. I look up the record at the time. It was 34 minutes. I'm like, dang, I never trained for it. I missed it by the world record by 2 minutes, and I felt incredible. And I just know it was I know it's my diet. I know it's how I feel. And then I go get my blood done, and it's like, oh, it's obvious. My testosterone levels have tripled. Of course I'm going to feel amazing. Of course I'm going to feel stronger. Of course I'm going to feel like this if just that one hormone is doing so much better in my body. So have you noticed that in your practice? Obviously, being a fertility doctor, I'm sure that's a very important thing in your practice. And then I'd love to hear your comment about teeth.
Well, remember the plant. So we should say this. See, there's only 3 diets. You're either a plant eater, an animal eater, or a plant and animal eater. Herbivore, omnivore, and a carnivore, correct? Yep. We shouldn't use the word carb and sugar in our vocabulary here because it's confusing. And so by eliminating plants, you're reducing the plant estrogens, progesterones, and testosterones, which suppress your natural production of testosterone.
So that's the reason my testosterone tripled, was because I stopped eating these other plants that were suppressing my natural production.
Correct. And it only needs to be a small amount. if you're taking testosterone supplements in any way, you have to up the dose in order to get the right amount of level and feeling. But you only need a little bit to actually suppress your own testosterone production.
Yeah.
So that's why the plant estrogens, progesterones, testosterone are great birth control. They cause all of our problems, and people don't recognize it. And then again, plants versus animals. That's our diet, right?
Yep.
And so your children have better teeth because I'm sure they're eating a meat-based diet, but not a plant-based diet. If you look at Weston Price, Kevin Stock is a dentist. He's got Saturday Sevens. He writes a great blog, and you should do an interview with him. He's really great. Again, we're not grazing, chewing animals. We're meat-eating animals. When we ate the meat, you don't chew very much, right? Especially if it was initially raw or very rare, but you're eating the fat and the organ meats, which are easy to chew and digest and eat quickly. We're not chewing and chewing and chewing. And remember, the meat doesn't have the fiber, which grinds on our teeth and damages the enamel, which is the glycocalyx. The sugar coating that protects your teeth is damaged because of a plant-based diet, feeds the microbes. They do even more damage because they love eating you and killing you, because the plants are live organisms that have a bigger mission than you know.
Wow. Incredible.
So good. So good. Dr. Kiltz, where do people find you?
drkiltz.com, the best way, a CNY Fertility, but I got a 5 a.m. live. I do most every morning, Eastern time, 5 a.m. on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and CNY Fertility. It's drkiltz.com, spelled out Dr. Kiltz, but hey, you, Kiltzy, you'll find me one way or another. I'm the fertile carnivore, somewhere in there, I think.
That is so good.
Well, it's amazing. Well, thank you so much.
I just want to go eat a steak right now. That's all.
I know.
Well, look at, and people talk about variety in diet, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I always ask them, do they have boyfriends and girlfriends on the side of their partner?
No.
That would be deadly. We know that.
Yep.
The variety in our diet is actually deadly. That's why I stick to my ribeye, butter and salt, a little bit of frog wa time to time. I once in a while will eat some ice cream, but 99% it's bacon, eggs, butter, beef, salt. Stick to that. It's easy. No fancy recipes, no fancy anything. You keep it simple. It's the very best way.
And it tastes amazing.
It does taste amazing.
It does.
Amen to that.
Oh,
All those things.
And when you eat once a day, you eat less. And when you eat more fat, you need less. You need to eat less. Fat, when you buy the fat separate, it's less expensive than it's connected to the steak already.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. You're more satiated if you eat a higher fat, content meat for sure. I mean, I think we all know that, if you go eat a pound of chicken, which is hard to do because there's no fat in it. And first, it doesn't taste very good. And you go versus a pound of beef, like a ribeye. I mean, it's easy. I could eat a pound of ribeye every day, all day. And I think most people can sit down and eat a 16-ounce steak versus trying to do that with chicken. I think it's pretty obvious biologically that we feel that way too,
Right. And we went after the fattiest animals. We drank the blood. That was critical and important, I think. And remember, all amino acids from proteins and all sugars from plants must be converted to fat in the liver via insulin, or you die.
And so I guess that brings me to the next one is like the metabolic response. We hear a lot about that, our metabolic response and our insulin response that are happening. A lot of people are they're not metabolically healthy. They don't move enough, this kind of stuff. But also, is that what's causing a lot of the fatty liver disease that we hear about constantly?
Okay, so the liver's job is to make fat. Okay?
Yep.
That's number one. So if the liver makes fat, where's the first place it's going to store it?
In itself, probably.
In the liver.
Yep.
Now, if you're eating a plant-based lean meat diet and your belly is full of it, your bowels are full of it all the time, you're always sending amino acids and sugars to the liver. What must go up in order for you to make fat?
Sound like your insulin levels.
Insulin.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with insulin. Insulin's not the cause of disease.
Yeah.
A plant-based diet is. And a lean meat diet is. The job of insulin is to convert the amino acids and sugars to fat in the liver. And if you always have an elevated glucose level, what do you think your insulin level should be?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm like, I call us dumb sometimes.
Yeah.
Occam's razor, simple answer. Breathe air, drink water, eat meat. Dumb, done.
Yep.
Right? Men are dumb. No disrespect, men.
Right. Yep.
We're dumb. Feed us, flatter us, and help us reproduce. And we're happy.
Yep.
For sure.
Pretty simple. That's it.
It is.
That's
and that's about how simple we are too. Huh? Yep. Yep.
And again, it's such, we're getting back to, listen, men want to be men and women want to be women. But we're confusing it all. One is the message of marketing is everyone should eat lots of fruits and vegetables. And then what happens? We become fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
No disrespect to anyone's choice but maybe it's not their choice. Maybe they're being manipulated by the deadly drugs of the plants.
For sure. For sure. Wow. So how you feel about this afterwards? So Dr. Kiltz, so I've been trying to get Brandon to go hardcore carnivore for a while. You know, I've been hardcore, and but I think, how do you feel after this? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I think I'm convinced, honestly. I mean, I've been doing a lot of it. I eat a lot of wild game, which is probably way too lean. So I eat a lot of elk.
Lean.
Yep. Eat a lot of elk and deer, and I always eat 5 or 6 whole eggs. I use a lot of butter when I cook the meat, but I'm sure it's not near enough fats. So
plants? You got to eliminate the plants.
Yeah.
Eliminate the plants. You'll be better.
Yeah. Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I love the idea of 1 meal a day, maybe 2 meals a day, and just simplifying life. I mean,
yeah.
And I do take some supplements, just vitamins, and which I probably am wasting my money on those.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll try getting off those and just see how I do.
See how you feel.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm excited to give it a try. Like I said, I'm motivated right now to go grab a steak and eat it. So yeah,
awesome.
Really good.
Well, Dr. Kiltz,
I did not start this until 55. Earlier and earlier, we convinced more young men to do it is going to be better for manhood.
Yeah.
Yes, which we need.
Which
desperately.
is better for society. I think our country needs this. I think, our podcast is really around living a solid life, right?
Mm-hmm.
More solid men helps women become more solid, build more solid families, more solid communities, and just have better lives overall.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kiltz. I appreciate your time and you hopping on and educating us on what I believe is a very important topic and impacts us in so many areas of our life. So thank you so much for getting on with us today.
God bless you guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kiltz. We'll see you.
All right. Take care.